Chapter 820. The 3 detention centers in Oris police station served their respective purpose. One was for detaining male suspects and one was for female suspects, while the other was for juvenile suspects. After the 4 members of the Richard were arrested, they were sent to 2 detention centers, with Lady Richard and Olivia sent to the women's detention center while Michael and Harold were sent to the men's detention center. Lady Richard felt itchy and tingling when she first entered the cell. She sat on the thin bed, recalling her recent tragic happenings. This period of time was the greatest and most devastating catastrophe for Lady Richard and the Richard family. All her hard work and assets had been confiscated by the court. Her own son refused to let her live in the Beacon Top Villa, and he had even called the police to arrest her. She was getting more and more irritated as she thought about it. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, she slapped the bed in despair and wailed loudly, "Arg, what did I do wrong? My family is bankrupt, my son doesn't want to support me, and he has even joined forces with his wife to get me arrested. The ungrateful bastard son. Did he want me to just die here?" Sitting aside, Olivia was also frustrated and sad. "Grandma, Uncle Trump has never behaved like this before. He used to always obey you and had never dared to resist your order. Why is he so cruel now?" Lady Richard snorted angrily. "It must be Elaine, the wicked vixen. She has been up to no good ever since she married your uncle. If it's not because of her, your uncle would have agreed to let us move into the villa." She wiped her cloudy tears and cried, "Oh my God, how bad my life is. When I die and meet your grandpa at the other end of the Rainbow Bridge, he must be so devastated if he knows how my daughter-in-law has tortured me to death." The grandmother and granddaughter hugged each other and cried their hearts out. Due to Lady Richard's old age, fellow inmates surrounded them curiously as they rarely saw such an old lady be detained in the detention center. Among them was a tall and buff woman who was declared as the boss of the cell since she was here for 3 months. She walked up to her and asked, "Hey, old lady, is your daughter-in-law such a bad person? Did she put you in here? What happened?" "Yes, what is going on? Tell us." When someone started with the question, the rest of the inmates gathered in front of Lady Richard and asked curiously. They were a group of ladies who loved gossip, especially gossip about family affairs and such, so they leaned forward with their ears up to hear the rest of the stories. Lady Richard was huffing and puffing in agitation as she felt the wrath building up inside her. She started crying again. "Ark, I am so miserable and sad. My good-for-nothing daughter-in-law and her useless son-in-law constantly trick us. We used to be one of the most prominent families in Oris Hill, but they've tricked us and put us in deep shit. They've dragged our family into bankruptcy and our debts are as high as the mountains that even our house was confiscated by the bank." The beefy woman said coldly, "How could there be such bad people?" Lady Richard flushed with anger. "Yes, they are so bad, so bad. My grandchildren and I were kicked out from our house. We're homeless, but they bought $1 million Beacon Top Villa. We have no place to go, but the family of 4 gets to sleep in a dozen bedrooms. I thought that they wouldn't bear to see me sleep on the street since they're my son and daughter-in-law, right? So I went to them, but who would have known that they'd actually beat me up, scold me, and kick me out of the house? Not only that, they even called the police, saying that I was trespassing and causing a scene, and that's why the police arrested us." The beefy woman clenched her fists tightly and said, "I hate bastards who disrespected old people the most in my life. If it weren't for my sister-in-law, my mom would not have committed suicide by drinking pesticide. I was put into jail for 10 months because I punched the bloody woman to death after my mom died." The woman had the wrath of fury burning in her eyes. She gritted her teeth and said, "Don't cry, old lady. If I have a chance to meet your daughter-in-law, I'll punch her to death for you."